Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got player props here in this video for you guys as we roll along in these NBA playoffs. Also have best bets up for you for all three games on Monday, so make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us all playoffs long. No days off moving forward. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use that prop finder tool that we're using to make sure that we get the best juice on all of these bets that we're making here this NBA postseason. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA player prop for Monday night.
My first, your
Our
first.
first.
Great minds. We both, without talking, we both put down Joel Embiid to go over 8.5 points in the first quarter only. You can ladder it one more point to get plus 120 at DraftKings because basically, Embiid, he's not a guy who's like, I'm going to let the game come to me. We know what his game is, especially with limited mobility. His game is, I'm going to shoot the ball. I'm either getting to the line or I'll maybe make plays if I draw double team. But the Knicks, their strategy, they had a lot of success with Mitch Rob individually covering him, and I think we're just going to see more of that. I don't think Tibbs is going to throw that many doubles at him, but it's more just about how aggressive he comes out. Right, 15 points in the first quarter, played all 12 minutes in game one. That's actually the fifth straight playoff game where he played, sixth straight where he played the entire first quarter. All of them against Boston. In the playoffs down the stretch there, he had 12, 12, and 11 in those first three, and then he ran out of gas in game 6 and 7, which we know very well. And he's probably going to run out of gas in the second half here. He just doesn't have the wind. He got injured in game one, which definitely affects it. But he went 6 for 11 in the first half, and then what was it? He's now shot 25% or worse in the second half of 5 of his last 10 playoff games, basically. Like he cannot sustain it. Like it's just, but he's continued to take a lot of threes, which is interesting too. Like I was thrown in there, like for him to hit 2 threes, it's minus 120, but it's just like, you're not going to bother his release. Even if he has limited mobility again, like he's going to walk around, get to his spots and just take shots. And I think he's going to be a little bit more reliable. Like he's just not going to miss those open shots as much and finish 8 for 22. But again, we're just really talking about the start here and him just coming out and getting 10 early, setting the tone.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. We are all over this in the same way. The stuff for him this season, like you really nailed the motivation, right? And why he would be doing this. We both looked at the last 3 versus this team that he played against the Knicks all season and the way that he kind of comes out, but really just on the season in general, this is something that, he's going to continue to probably want to do. He's played 41 games this season at this point. He's gone over this number in the first quarter and 32 of those 41 for a 78% hit rate. This is just just a continuing sort of trend that we're going to see from a dude who knows that his knees don't have 40 minutes in them in a row without sitting down for an extended period of time on the couch with ice all over his knees. So he's going to get it in where he can. And that's why he plays 12 minutes in that first quarter. I don't know if there's any point in holding him back for 7 minutes, 8 minutes in the first quarter so you can play more in the fourth. It's like, that ain't going to be how it works for him moving forward. Just can't hold up for that long anyway. So I'm going to go to a sort of, I don't want to call it ambiguous, but it's definitely off the beaten path of props here. And it's Cole Anthony over 5.5 points in this one. You have to take that on MGM. I don't think any other books have yet come out with his props as we're recording this on Sunday night, but 5.5 points. I love MGM for that, by the way. They give you the early sort of role player props better than any other book. I will shout them out for that. 5.5 points for Cole. Still get a little bit of plus money on that at 105 there on BetMGM. And my thing is once again, putting myself in the shoes of Jamal Mosley and going, I cannot possibly watch my team miss that many shots once again. I can't watch an NBA team that I coach shoot 36% from the field. And that's going to happen when you have Jonathan Isaac on the floor. Franz Wagner's not a three-point shooter. So you got another dude on the floor who's not a three-point shooter alongside Jonathan Isaac. Very, very hard to score in the NBA with 2 non-shooters on the floor. And I know Franz took 6 of them, but they want him to, right? That's where they want him to shoot from, this Cleveland Cavs team. So with that in mind for Cole, look, he got 11 minutes in this one. You want to talk about spark plug off the bench, 36% usage rate in those 11 minutes. My man is shooting and not wasting any time with his time on the floor, which was shorter than he normally. I mean, he's averaging about 17 and a half. He's averaging like 22 minutes per game on the season. I think you dumb that down with a full lineup for the Magic and just automatically assume that's going to get watered down to like 15 to 17 minutes per game. But he saw 11, and I just don't think you can keep him off the floor for that long anymore with the shooter that he is and the way that they missed almost all of their threes. They were like 8 for 32 or whatever. So I think he needs to be out there to be that spark plug offense for them. And if you look at the numbers for him when he does normally play, look, when he took 7 shots in 11 minutes with that 36% usage rate, he's gone over he's taken 7 shots this season in, I believe, 38 games. I want to make sure I have the right one. Yeah, in 38 games, he's taken at least 7 shots in those games. He's up to he's gotten at least 6 points in 32 of those 38. So like an 85% hit rate when he's actually going to get those amount of shots, right? Even if he doesn't get the minutes, don't even worry about the minutes at that point. And when he does get 15 minutes, it's also much better numbers as well in terms of the hit rate for him getting 6 points for plus money, which like we know if he shoots the ball 7 times again, I'm going to feel great about this bet. He's averaging 10 points per game when he does shoot the ball at least 7 times. And now you see like with Jonathan Isaac on the floor, like if he plays with the second unit, now you've got even less shooting. Like there's just a lot more availability for him to be open for those shots, less shooters on the floor alongside him as well. At this point, it's kind of like he and Mo Wagner, honestly, as the dudes that you can actually rely on this and on the second unit there to get those points. I understand that like he's now playing against a few more starters because you're not playing bench minutes for the Cavs bench players nearly as much. So when he is in there, he's still going up against good defenders like an Isaac Okoro and that type of thing, right? But still, give him 15 minutes, give him at least 7 shots, and I'll gladly take 6 points out of that.
Yeah, this is a good find. Yeah, Bet365 has also got the same lines up as MGM, just to give a fair share to them. But plus 165 for him to have 2 assists, and even money to just tack on 1 assist here and go 6.5 points / assist. Like if you're banking on the Magic having some positive regression as a team, like he's probably going to be on the passing end of a dime or two here. He averaged 3.1 on the road post All-Star break. He is facilitating that second unit, like you're saying, and they got to take a little bit of pressure off Paolo, who had been just like, controlling everything down the stretch for them in the regular season. And welcome to the playoffs now. Now 9 turnovers for Paolo in his playoff debut. So they got to have somebody else initiate the offense at times.
I really wish we would have thought of that being like, Paolo's going to be with the ball in his hands in his first playoff game. Let's get an over on the turnovers. That would have been a good look too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but always a little hard to predict how a guy's going to react in that spotlight. And I mean, we did mention like, the Magic and Pacers tightening up, the guys who have never taken shots in the playoffs. Yep. And they just bricked them all, both teams, It looks like. But we're talking now about the Knicks here for a couple more props, and OG Anunoby under 19.5 PRA. I mean, mostly fading the points and assists here, but it's about 4 rebounds added to that for better juice because the guy is just not involved in the offense. Like, I mean, he is a fantastic defensive player. He still played 31 minutes in game 1. But I mean, he's losing a few minutes here or there because your guy Bojan, who you're going to talk about, has to give them some juice offensively. I mean, OG is a corner 3-point shooter. The Sixers give up the fewest 3-pointers in the league on the season and the fewest 3-point attempts from the corner. Like there, especially when you have Batum out there, like he is too savvy to lose his guy out there. And I mean, in game 1. OG handled the second fewest touches of anyone on the team on offense. Like only Mitch Robb, who was out there just to guard Embiid, had fewer touches. He had 4 potential assists. None of them wound up being an assist. He didn't even have a secondary assist. And that's kind of been the case since his return. He's averaging 0.4 secondary assists, just 2.6 potential assists, and only getting 22 passes a game. Received, that is 17% usage rate, and that's added up to 11.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, 1.4 assists. The rebound chances were not even very high in game 1 here. 6 rebound chances, whereas Josh Hart swooping in there for his 23 rebound chances. Your boy, bit of a rebound hog, I think he would be the first to admit. And I mean, OG is not going to fight him for those. His job is to be out there and be another great defender for this Knicks team, and he's very effective in that role. He's just not doing very much on offense.
100%. Yeah, the corner 3 stuff is a big part of all this. To what you're saying, and I agree. Like he's not involved in the offense. He's got to be catching those spot ups to get in there and get it. And yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that for OG in terms of any kind of over. I'm fully on board with that. I kind of wish it was a little bit higher because we've seen it a little bit higher, and I'm sure it's gone down like about a one or two in the PRA line for him there, as he's not been hitting this quite as much. But still, I don't think you're paying a premium at all by taking an under on his 20 PRA total there. I'm going to close it out with the aforementioned Bojan Bogdanovic, no relation to Bogdan, just so you guys know. But Bojan is at 9.5 points, and you can still get it for a pretty good number. You can take it at 10.5 for really good juice, or 9.5 you can still get for -132. I'm sure I'm not the only person playing this, and hopefully this is still around for you guys. But I think 10.5 is still an okay number as long as you keep it to like -110 or better. I still think that's a really good number for Bojan. And what I'm looking for Bojan is honestly like my first thought and why I was drawn to this bet, Nate, is because I'm a Knicks fan, and I was watching that Knicks game going like, I don't feel that comfortable with how much we are clearly relying on Bojan Bogdanovic to take us through this playoffs on offense. Like, I do not care for the fact that our offense is like, there's nothing there for Jalen. All right, what do you got, Bojan? Can you do it now by yourself? Like, I love the man, but I do wish that was Julius Randle in that spot of like, hey, we need a bailout shot, you know? Either way, he is kind of in that Julius Randle, like, yo, we need a bucket. You got this, you know, kind of thing from Tibbs's offense, which is just Jalen Brunson. But you know, the other thing is like Philly's very good against spot up shooters. They're very good at like maintaining, and that's why they're so good at defending threes. Bojan's not the spot up shooter at all, even when he's playing with Jalen Brunson. Like, he's the secondary ball handler, right? That's his role at this point. You saw him running the pick and roll a lot. That's actually how he gets a large majority of his points as well. For this Knicks team specifically, he wasn't doing that quite as much before he came over here, but at this point, like, that is a lot of what he's doing for this Knicks team, as you see, is the ball handler in the pick and roll as opposed to the spot up, which is where you want to be if you're going to be, especially some with that second unit. But I mean, 24 minutes in this last game shows you what they were relying upon him for. And that 23% usage was second only to Jalen Brunson on this team. Took 12 shots, which was same, tied for second with a couple other dudes behind Jalen as well, who took 26 and couldn't even get the 30 points as well. And that one for JB, because they're doing a great job shutting him down. And that is why they need Bojan on the floor at the same time as Jalen Brunson, as the dude that's like, okay, you can also break down the defense. He gets a lot of his shots from the free throw line, which is where the Knicks are trying to get to, not only to put Joel in foul trouble if they can, but the Philly will foul you and has a bad opponent free throw attempt rate for a reason. They're a fouling team much more than they let you get anything easy, which is fine. But he had that 127 offensive rating. He had 12 field goal attempts in that game. And honestly, he got well over the points because of the fact that he went 3 of 6 from deep. But he also shot 4 of 12 from the field overall, which I don't think is obviously normal for him to be at a 33% field goal percentage. That's something that he's obviously done much better for all season. Also missed 2 free throws, and he is getting to the line about 4 times a game on this Knicks squad, which I love to see because I always want those easy points. If he can get 4 free throw attempts, and I expect him to make at least 3 moving forward, if not all of them, on that low amount of free throws, now we're already basically, you know, more than a quarter of the way there, right? To getting the 10 points that we need for him in this one. And similar to how I've been looking at, okay, well, what happens when you give this man the time and the usage to get his? Well, he's played 12 games with the Knicks where he's played 20 minutes, and he played 25 in this last one, but he's played 12 games this season with them, playing at least 20 minutes, and he has gone over in 10 of those 12 games when it comes to this point prop. You put that up to the 25 he was just at, and that goes down a few more games, but he's at 100% hit rate, right? He just needs the usage and the time. He's still a very capable player on offense, and I don't think there are that many good matchups for him on defense, unless you think that, like, you know, Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris are good matchups for Bojan, but he's so crafty in so many different ways that I still feel very comfortable with him getting his shot off. It's in the mid-range where he shoots the most shots for this team when he gets those minutes. JB is shooting plenty of mid-range as well, but nobody else besides those two dudes is really taking it to the mid-range, and that is where Philly's defense is the weakest and the most vulnerable. So he's going to keep living right. Kind of the reason that you don't like OG, right? And I don't either, to score points, because he's in the exact spots that this Philly defense is hyper aware of. Bojan's in the no man's land for them, right inside of like 17 feet. And that's where he's going to keep hitting those shots from. So I like him to go like 5 for 12 in this one if he's going to take that many shots.
Yeah, I mean, he's the adult in the room, right? I mean, the two lines that jumped out at me is him and Deuce McBride, but yeah. I mean, that's kind of fishy. The books are begging you to take Deuce for 9 points. They're probably thinking he is going to cool off and not hit any of those 5 threes again. And I think you laid out pretty well why Bojan is somebody you can, with a track record in the playoffs, somebody who can create, who can get into the areas he needs to score, and not just like play off Jalen Brunson and hit threes if he's left open. He can get it done himself, and he has a lot more experience and a lot more versatile game than Deuce.
Yeah. Love you, Deuce. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a correlated conversation. Like, I was also looking at Deuce going like, all right, which one do you believe in here a little bit more? And Bojan making his own shot and making his own way and having the experience to do this is definitely what I'm banking this on. So that is all the time we have for you in Play At Props as well here. Make sure to subscribe to that page, though. Also got best bets up in a separate video for you guys, as we're bringing you each and every day now moving forward through this postseason. So until we see you next, happy betting.